Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. I'm very happy to have you all today with us. Again, with an interesting webinar. My name is Alina, and I'm an Education USA advisor, and we are representing here Education USA Virtual, a platform that can help you to navigate through your application process or research process for your studies in the US. So, as you remember, if you are already for a long time with us, or if you have subscribed, I don't know, last month or 2 months ago, you already know that in June and July, we are doing a lot of webinars on standardized tests and English proficiency tests. So for this month, we have two more webinars, including the one that we have today. And we have one in July that is going to be at the end of July on 21st. And the one we have today on PTE Academic. So we have here two speakers that are going to introduce us to this wonderful test. I know many of our students don't really know about what this test.
Hi, my name is Marcimelia. I am with the Pearson Test of English. And welcome today to this talk about the Pearson Test of English. We're going to go through the test, and should you have any questions, please let us know at the end. We're happy to answer them for you. I have worked in testing now for about 10 plus years, and my colleague Shelley has also. So we're very excited to introduce you to the Pearson Test of English. Okay, so Lana, can you start with the slides? So okay, I think I've lost the Okay, so why the PTE? The PTE is a faster test, it is a fairer test, and it's a simpler test, meaning that because the test is AI generated, that it has the same scores for everybody at all the time. And so it is a fair test because again, it doesn't change questions as you go. The questions are different, but that it stays the same sort of grading, and it's just a much simpler test for you to take. Okay, next. So expanding the testing network, as you know, we now have 490 test centers worldwide. And we have 110 countries that accept that recognize that have test centers within their country. So hopefully there is a test center very close to you that you will be able to take the test. Next. So the test is around the world. It is taken in almost every country. It's accepted by schools everywhere. So I know wherever you're trying to decide to choose to go to school, whether it be Canada, whether it be US, whether it be Europe, all these different countries do accept the test. Okay, next. So again, as far as the US, and I'm sure many of you are hoping to come to the US, it is accepted now by over 1,600 universities in the US. Shelley and I are constantly working to make sure that other schools do recognize the test. If there's ever a school that you are interested in that you do not see recognize it, please let Alana know. Shelley and I can work with the schools and hopefully maybe we can make things happen for you. But it is right now, I think if you go through and look at the list, and Shelley can put the list online, it is recognized by many, 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 many schools in the States. Next. So the test structure, which I'm sure you are interested in. Next. So the way this test is set up, just so that you understand, this test was developed in 209 with AI generation before AI was even a big word. And what that means is it allows you to go in and you can register up to 24 hours in advance. You get your scores right away and you can send your scores right away. But what it also allows you is to be able to answer questions very much the way that you have been used to studying, so that the questions, they're single attempts. You only get so much time to answer each question, but the questions have integrated skills in them, meaning often that when you are in school, you don't just read, write, listen, and speak. A lot of times you listen and you speak, you write and you listen. And this test helps you understand the skills that you currently do and the integrated skills going into what you will be experiencing as classrooms in the States. Now, it is timed, but unlike IELTS and TOEFL, you can move at your own pace. So you can take the test, there'll be a timer at the top. You can watch the timer so that you know how much time you have, but you're not constrained to answer questions and then sit there and fold your hands while other people answer. There are some situations where you might want to take notes, and we will provide you with a whiteboard and a pen to write on. And the questions are linear and randomized, but it's a much easier test that reflects the way that you have learned versus having tests from 50 years ago and and just being in a different style. So I think, again, this test you would appreciate because it really is reflective of the way that you have been learning in your classes. Okay, next. So the test structure, just so you understand, when you first go in, there'll be a pre-test. And what that means is they're going to want you to check the microphone. So you're going to talk into it, maybe tell them why you're taking the test, maybe tell them where you're from, and that checks the microphone. Then you're going to have a part one, which is speaking and writing, and that will go from 76 to 84 minutes. And like I said, that will pace according to how you are getting the work done. And you will always be able to look up at the corner and see how much time you have. Part two is the reading, and that is about 25 to 30 minutes. And in the reading sections, again, you will read sections, you will answer questions, you will fill in the blanks, but it is, again, much more reflective of ways that you have been learning. And part three is listening. And when you listen, they're going to have you repeat back sentences. And the sentences will gradually become a little more in depth. But again, you listen and you repeat, and then you're going to listen and describe. So it's very self-explanatory. We do have a lot of good practice tests we'll get into, but that's the way the test is designed. It is roughly a 2-hour test. But again, it depends on how you work through the test. Next. Okay. So it is as we said again, because this is a newer test, it is very easy to register. You just go online. What you will do first is you will create a PTE account. And the reason you create that account is because the scores will come back to you. Once you create that account, you go in, you look for the country, you look for the date, and you look for the time. So you book the test. Then once you do that, we do suggest you take some time and work through the practice test. So again, you'll understand what the test will be like. You then come and take your test. And the day of testing, again, you have to, the test is available 365 days a year. Absolutely. So it's, and in many places it can run 2 and 3 times a day. So just so that you recognize that. It can be booked up to 24 hours in advance. And again, why this is so important is because unlike a couple of the other tests, you are able to test right away. So if you need to get a test score in quickly, you can book the test, take it the next day, get your score the next day, and get your score to the school. It's very, very fast. The results usually come back within 24 to 48 hours. Okay? Next. So the PTE experience next. Okay, so test takers, when you go, again, you will read and you will agree to the agreement for the test, and that's just really what you're signing up for. The administrator, when you go in to take your test that next day, the administrator will check you in. You have to have your passport with you. They're going to check your passport, make sure it's you. And again, I must emphasize, when you're signing up for the test, you must make sure that the exact name on your passport is the exact name that you signed the test up from. And they will look at that. They will look at your date of birth. They will look at all of these kind of things. What will happen then is they're going to have you do a palm vein scan. So all you're going to do is you're going to put your hand right on a scanner. They're going to look at that and they're going to make sure that they've got your palm. And again, this is for security reasons. Then they're going to escort you into a testing center. They're going to put you in a specific seat, and they have a code that they will put on to make sure that it's your test. So you're going to take the test. You're going to put on noise canceling earphones so that, you can, as you speak, you don't hear others speak. And you can work again, like I said, at your own pace. So you will see the timing at the top, but you will work at your own pace. The administrators will stay in the room with you so that they can watch and make sure if you have any questions, to make sure if there's anything that you need. If you ever need anything while you're testing, you just raise your hand and the administrators will come right to you. So I see a question about a palm scan. Aren't you asking for too much? Unfortunately, we're not. Security, as you know, is one of the highest regard thing that people look for in a test. This is a test that can actually help change your life. And so any amount of security that we can prove to whomever may ask is just really helping you. We're not doing it for us. We're doing it for you so that you have the security, so that you know that you're taking a secure test, so that you know when your scores come in and you send them in the school, there is no doubt that it's you. Okay, next. So PTE academic scoring, next. Okay, so the PTE score is scored on a 10 to 90 range. And it is what we call a more granular score. It is scored more like TOEFL than like IELTS, which has the big bands. Because the test, again, as we've talked about, is AI generated, the scoring will be very fair. And why we're saying that is when you use AI generated scoring, it takes any bias out of people doing the scores. So when this test was developed, they had like 127 dialects. We did it over hundreds of thousands of students. And we continue to upgrade the AI as we go. But it's a very, very fair test. It will also help with your skills profile a bit. So you're going to get the reading. You'll get a score for reading, writing, listening, and speaking, but it will come as a cumulative score. So do you see the 74 up at the top? That is the score that this person got when they put together their reading, writing, listening, and speaking. It is aligned to the global scale of English. You can also put it to the Common European Framework. But the scores are, you will see the schools will tell you what scores they accept. Yes, it's not an average. It is individually scored. So you get your own score, but they do have the reading, the writing, the listening, and speaking. Okay, next. There is a bit on individual skills profile, but I think we're going to skip this next. It will give you some recommendations if you're interested, so you can take and look and see the areas that you want to improve in. But again, we won't go into a lot of that next. So assigning scores. So what's important is after you receive your score, you will then go back to the Pearson site, and you will have a drop-down box, and all the schools that accept PTE, and they're schools that you will have looked at before, what you do then is just assign your score to that school. So when you see that school's name come down, you can send your score to that school. So you can send it from my PTE, or you can provide the SRC. Then the school receives your score, and they will have it. And then they have what we call a score reporting website that they can verify your score. Very easy to assign. And as we said, because the test is AI generated, you could literally, again, schedule to take your test on Monday, probably take your test on Tuesday, get your scores back Wednesday, Thursday, and turn around and send your score by Friday. So rather than waiting 2 or 3 weeks to have to sign up for a test and then waiting 2 more weeks to get your scores, this all happens very, 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 very quickly. Okay, next. We do have a lot of preparation next. So we have several free resources that you can try. We do have scored practice test. We do have question banks, and we do have an official guide. So when you sign up, when you create your Pearson account, all of these things will be available to you, and you will see those. So it's honestly worth creating a Pearson account if you want material to even just work with and try and just see how you do. But it is available once you create that Pearson account. Next. This is just some other things that we have along the way, just telling you that we will be right here. If you ever have questions, you can also contact Shally or me. We'll give you our contact information. But we work with you every step of the way. It's important to us to see you succeed. Next. So that's follow our channels. We do have a lot of videos that you can see. And you can speak to us at any time. So I think that's our 20 minutes, Alana. Does that work?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Great. Hope everyone can hear me right now. Okay, thank you so much, Marcy. Sorry for my internet. Yes, I've got disconnected in one moment. So now let's proceed then to the Q&A session, because we have a bunch of them. A lot of students have addressed them in advance, and I see some of them also addressed them in the chat, even though I saw you somehow managed to answer that. So one of the questions that also interests, I guess, me as an advisor is the cost of the PTE course and the cost of the test itself. What can you tell
Sure.
us about that?
Absolutely. So the cost of the test is country specific, but I would say it usually will come in around $215 around there. It would just, check your country. It will the price will come up when you check the test date and the location, and you will be able to see that. I will tell you, and this is marketing, it is always a little bit less than IELTS and TOEFL, and that is because we're the newer kid on the block, because we came out in 209 versus coming out in 1964. We try to make sure that students have the advantage of that. So it's, I would say, around 2 to 215.
Okay, that's great. That's good to know. Then you actually listed that in the presentation, but we can give more details on this list of universities that accept this exam and how this exam is more beneficial than IELTS and TOEFL.
Sure. So Aunt Shelley has put the flipping book on here, and on the flipping book, there is a list to all of the schools that recognize it. It is done by state. So if they want to go in by state, they can go in and look at all the schools in the state, or if there's specific schools that they're interested in, they just sign in at the top of it, and they'll be able to pull up the schools. Um, does that answer the question, or?
I think yes. And so about the list of the universities, you somehow explained that, but what is the
What's the
uh,
advantage?
yeah, what's the advantage of the test? Because people want to see the difference mainly. So
Sure.
how that
So
differs?
absolutely. So this is one of the best ways I describe it. As I mentioned, previous tests before the PTE were done in like 1964 and 1980. And so I always kind of ask, how many of your students were around in 1964? Things change, things evolve. What the PTE test is, it is a test that has been designed with today's students in mind, being that most of today's students are very computer literate. They know how to work on computers. They're used to doing that. And so again, the fact that you can go at your own pace versus answering questions and then having to stop because the test says you've got to stop for 10 minutes, or with another test it has like a 15-minute break. But if you're really working through, most students today like to work through at their own pace. They like to answer at their own pace. The questions are more contemporary, very honestly. All of the questions deal with things that they will encounter in a school. So, some of the listening questions might be, can you point me to the lunchroom? Can you point me to the lab? They're things that students will be able to relate to. And I think that is one of the biggest advantages of this test. Again, it's a test that came out in 209. It's a test that is AI generated. Like I said, when people didn't even know what AI was, but it's fast. Again, for a student, if they need to get a score in, they could literally go and probably register a test tomorrow if they really needed to take that test. Then that score, instead of waiting 2 or 3 weeks to get a score, will come back the next day within 24 to 48 hours. At that point, once the student receives their score, they can send it. So unlike, again, like TOEFL, where they have to tell TOEFL, okay, send the score to this school or that, they send it themselves. So they are in charge. They are in charge of sending that score. The school receives that score right away. So instead of it being a 6-week process of registering, taking the test, and getting your score, it could be done in a week or 10 days.
Mm-hmm. And Adding here a continuation of the question that I have, if you've mentioned several times that the student is able to send the scores to the institutions that he's choosing himself. So there is a number of unlimited institutions he can send, because usually TOEFL, IELTS, they would limit the student and would say that you can send it to 5 institutions for free.
No, but the PTE, you can send the score. If you want to send it to all 1,600 schools, you can. For 2 years. Your score is good for 2 years. So as long as that score is good for 2 years, you can send it to as many schools, as many times as you want. So again, you are in control of that score. And it
Okay,
will sit in
perfect.
your PTE account, and that's why you create that PTE account.
That makes sense. We have your colleague Shiley that wants to add something here, so I will just give her the
Mhm.
floor because I know she wants to add some more details on that. Yes, Shiley.
Hi everyone. My name is Shali Jain. I'm with Pearson PTE Academic, Test of English. I've been with them for over 8 years. Just a little bit on the test itself, as how is it beneficial? We are a global test. The test is accepted in Australia, UK, Canada, US, and we are a test that is accepted by embassies. So most of these countries now, like the Canadian embassy does not accept an online version of the test most of the time. The UK will not accept it. They want a test center test, and our test is mainly a test center based test. Our gold standard is the security of the test, basically. So if a student is looking at two different countries, say if a student is looking at applying to Canadian schools and looking at the US schools as well, instead of taking two tests, one test would actually make it easier because our test is accepted in both the countries and it is accepted by the embassies. So it just makes it easier for the student to use this as an option rather than any other test, if that makes sense.
Totally. And you've mentioned that you are kind of centralized more on the taste based version.
Yeah.
Either way, the student have the possibility to take that online, because I'm not sure if there are test centers in the countries in our region, for example.
We do. I have shared in the flipping book, there is a test center list also. We are right now basically a test center based test. We did come out with the online during the pandemic, but we did not continue with it just because of the security part of it. We are working on a new test, which is the Pearson Express test, which is basically just going to be for the US. But we're going to launch it in this fall. We started the phasing of it, but yeah, you'll hear more about it in the coming fall,
Okay, yes,
if
I
that
will
makes
share
sense.
then the flipping book in the chat with
Yeah,
everyone.
it's there on the chat. Yeah, everything is there.
Yes, so they can see the region. Great. The next question that we had is, can I get a full coverage on my test from my school? I'm not sure what the person exactly meant here, but maybe we can
Yeah.
talk about some discounts or maybe some codes that they can use, or there are some discount codes that they can have for PTE specifically.
So, Marcy, I'll answer this question, but basically, we do work with universities. We are not student facing. We do work with universities, and if the university is accepting school, get in touch with us. We do offer them full free test vouchers. We also work with Education USA. So, Alina, any of your Education USA reacts can get in touch with us. We are working with your headquarters, giving them bulk vouchers. So yeah, that is an option.
Perfect. Thank you so much. The next question, what's the logic behind these tests and how best can you pass them? So I think the person meant all the tests in general. So maybe we can just give a general answer here.
Yeah, what's the logic? That's a good question. I mean, again, what we want to do is the job of this test is to prove your proficiency. And so what we want to do is do it in the most gentle manner that we can, but still again have an accurate representation of what of how you will succeed if you go abroad in the school. And that's very important because, again, you don't want to go with any misconceptions, because we want to make sure that you're taken care of, that you're good, that you're going to do well. And so the logic behind the test is to have questions that reflect the experiences that you are going to have when you go to a college or university in the US. And so that's the thinking behind it. And so, as I said, all of the questions are things that you will do or things that you will experience, or the reading is taken out of US textbooks, so that you can really understand exactly what it would be like if you were sitting in a classroom. So that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to help you understand what it would be like and how you would be able to succeed, because that's the most important thing. We don't want you to get there and then be panicked or be worried or be upset. I mean, it's always a learning experience, right? And this is an experience that will obviously make you grow, but our job in this test is to help you see how well you will do in a college or university.
It is a more academically acclaimed
Mhm.
test. When she went through the test format, the first part is an integrated test format that we have, wherein the student is actually listening and speaking. Basically, it's a classroom based a complete setup, wherein if you are listening to a lecturer, are you able to comprehend and speak
Mhm.
about it? So it's basically a classroom based whole setup or environment that we are trying to create for a student. Um, just to give you a it'll just take a minute. I am an international student. I came from India, and I always thought my English is very good. But when I actually attended few schools over here for a diploma program, I realized that my English was not enough, because I was not able to get that vocabulary. I was not able to comprehend, and I needed help. So English is important in when you're actually coming here to learn, to study.
And I think also the preparation phase is the main thing that is common for all these tests that you have meant. So preparation would mean that you would prepare like for an exam or for a test in the US. So basically that somehow makes you understand the process and makes you ready to act properly in the class, or yeah, during this preparation. Okay. So the next question: are there any special requirements or advice for international applicants regarding English proficiency or the MCAT test? I'm not sure if that can be related to the topic that we have here. I can suggest the person to refer to her or his Education USA advisor in the region, and they would definitely give more details on that.
Yeah.
So yes, that's a
It's
whole
just
process.
it's just constant, just like Shelley said, it's constant practice. That's what I would say. I would say again, to your point, Alana, the practice materials are fabulous. They replicate what the student will experience in the test. You know, they can, once you register, you get access to that for free. So if you're studying for an MCAT and you want extra material to practice on, you know, you can go in and do that. I would take, I mean, I know all of the tests have practice materials, and I would think again, if you're really working towards an MCAT or a GMAT or a bigger test like that and you need help, I would use all the practice material that I could get my hands on, just because again, it's different experiences. It helps them see different things. There's ways, but you know, again, MCAT, just like Shelley said, and the PTE and the IELTS academic, they're all academic tests. And academic English is very different than just conversational English. And that's again what you're trying to explain to people, that you don't just go into a classroom and say like, yeah, man, this is what I'm doing. There are different things that you have to learn as you continue in an academic setting. And so it's being able to really understand and differentiate between what is appropriate for academia and what is appropriate for everyday English.
I totally
Ju-
agree. Yeah.
just to mention something more to that, when a student creates his ID on the PTE, the Pearson View website, we have something called Smart Prep, which is free for the students. They can actually have practice materials on their homepage, on where they are ready to take the practice material and the practice test. So there is a Smart Prep there, and there are a number of YouTube videos online, which is on the PTE channel itself. And we give out videos like for speaking, for listening, for writing individually as well. And there are practice tests available, which the student can use as a tutorial.
Okay, yeah, great. And related to this question specifically, I can just also advise the student that specifically for MCAT, if we are talking, it's very beneficial to watch similar to the process as taking an PTE, watching videos, prepare yourself. In English proficiency, you would not get that for sure in 2 months or 3 months. That's a whole process. So if you are planning to apply for a bachelor degree, then you should think about your English proficiency from your 9th or 8th grade, let's say, because
Right.
then you would just get also more academic English, and not only academic English, but day-to-day English. So here, everything that comes with the practice and with the experience, let's say.
Correct.
The
So
next
share
question.
the link for the practice on the all the links that I have over there. So
Mhm.
there is everything, all the information available there. They can go to the Pearson website, and there is a separate link for the practice test as well, the
Thank
practice
you.
material.
Great. The next question: is it possible to receive the curriculum of the exam preparation event? Thanks in advance. I'm not sure what the exam preparation event is, but I
It,
think, yeah.
it is basically a practice test. That's
Right.
basically is what it is. And there are curriculum. When you say curriculum, it's basically listening, writing, speaking, and so all those things are available. That's what is the curriculum for the exam
And it
preparation.
has been shared in the links, yes, in the
Yeah,
chat.
I have. Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay,
There is a
great.
mini test also which I've attached there, which is basically just to give you a feel about what the test is.
The last question that we have addressed in advance: will there be any upcoming opportunities to take the PTE test for free or at a discounted rate? Thank you.
Again, we have, as you know, shared some vouchers with Education USA. As Shelley said, if there's a school you're particularly interested in, we do work with schools. And if schools write us, I just sent a couple vouchers to a school the other day. We're happy to do that. If somebody really needs that, we will work with you. We don't just pass out vouchers. We don't just, again, because that could get out of control. But we will leave that, again, Elaine, with your team,
Yeah.
and what they feel most appropriate. And we are so delighted to be working with you, and we will support Education USA any way we can. And so
Okay,
I would say, you know what, if you have students that come to you with those questions, let us know.
that sounds great to me. Then, do we have a limit of maybe some discounts or maybe some free tests or not?
You know what, that's open discussions.
Okay,
We'll take that
great.
offline.
So you guys refer to your Education USA advisor in your country, and then we discussed that. We discussed that with
Absolutely.
Pearson, and yes, I guess there would be some conditions anyway of eligibility, or yes, some traits or something like that. Because yes, I suppose it's not just giving the codes, one way or another. But yes,
Right.
there
We'll
should be
leave
some.
that with you. But as I said, we're delighted to be working with Education USA, and we don't want to overstep your guidelines or boundaries. So you let us know what's appropriate, and we'll work back and forth with you and your team.
Totally. Thank you so much. I just want to add here, in order to get a test for free, so this is not a thing that Pearson would do every day. So we need to understand that your English level should be sufficiently good to take the test so you can excel. You at least need to have a good score. So I just can advise you at this moment to take the sample test, and that would just give you a better understanding if you are somehow having the desired score, the score that your institution wants. And then yes, we can definitely discuss about the possibilities. But yes, that can be also coordinated with the Education USA advisor you have in your country.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
ladies. Thank you. I really appreciate. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for your answers. That was very helpful. We hope that more students that would be interested in this test would come up to us and would ask more details, and we'll give them your contact information in case if that's going to be needed. Other than that, I just want to say thank you once again for your expertise and for your time doing this presentation. You guys stay tuned for our future events. We already started to post the events that we're going to have in August. For July, we have one more session, and that's going to be about TOEFL. So yes, you will see the difference. We already had one about IELTS, Duolingo, so PTE here, and then we have TOEFL. So you'll distinguish somehow, and you will note for yourself what test is the best fit for you. So we recommend you to scan the QR code, sign for the event, address your question in advance, and you will get the answer from Arun from TOEFL. I wish you a great week, everyone, and I wish you a great end of the day. Thank you so much, ladies, once more, and thank you guys for being today with us.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you.